Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey
Welcome, you
guys.
guys, to Two Queens and Crystal Things, the podcast where we are on some manifest your life,
Manifest
shift your mind, and raise the consciousness type of shit.
type of shit.
I am Mia.
And I am Christy, and you can consider us your spiritual girlfriends for the next hour or so. All right. Last episode, we talked about your spiritual toolbox. And if you all don't have one, perhaps you might consider putting something together for yourself. And honestly, this is just something that'll help you through some of the tough times that you might be dealing with, or, those strong, deep emotions. But we hope that this episode gave you all some ideas and whether or not you guys want to create one for yourself. So, Mia, what's going on?
You guys, drum roll. We have a very special guest today, you guys. We're excited about this.
Yes, very special.
Both Christy and I have met with this gentleman and have gotten readings from him. The gentleman's name is Jade Luna, and he is an Asterian astrologer.
Say what?
Astrologist.
What is that?
Well, he's going to tell us. He's going to tell us exactly what that is. I will say that both of us, upon being introduced to his methodology, we're both kind of like, holy crap. It gets deeper. the more you know. Right. So we both thoroughly enjoyed it, and we thought it would be great to bring him on to introduce him to another audience.
Yeah. So I agree. And honestly, I never heard of this. I've never heard of this type of astrology. So shout out to Maria. Thank you for putting me on to Jade. Right. And we both booked an appointment with him, and it literally, we talk about self-mastery, and we talk about really like discovering ourselves and understanding all aspects of ourselves. And this is just another way for us to learn that. So I want to welcome Jade. Or actually, you can welcome him.
Oh, well, Jade, Luna, thank you for gracing us with your presence. Yes, welcome to Two Queens and Crystal Things.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I am so excited to be here. Thank you.
So look, I know this is going to be interesting because when people think of astrology, of course, they always think of what we most Westerners here know as astrology, and that's your horoscope that we look up every month. Your Cancer. Sorry,
Libra.
So these are the things that we know. So, Jade, my understanding is that Asterian astrology is quite different, but good Lord, I'm telling you from experience, you guys, it was on point. So, can you break this down to us? What exactly is Asterian astrology?
Asterian astrology is the oldest system of astrology known to man. It's the ancient Babylonian Egyptian system that later became an ancient Roman Greco system. Alexander the Great learned astrology from the Egyptians and spread this system, Asterian, throughout the ancient world. Right. So what happened and why we're not talking about it today is quite controversial.
Love controversy.
Yeah, well, so Catholicism created anti-divination laws making this particular astrology illegal. And they put out the ancient calendar on top of the zodiac, so we wouldn't use the stars in the sky anymore. So let's look at Western astrology. The first day of Aries is the first day of spring. We used to celebrate our January 1st on spring equinox. So Aries starts the first day of spring. If you wrap the 12 months around that, that's our ancient calendar. Western astrology is the ancient Northern Hemisphere calendar, which has absolutely nothing to do with the stars in the sky at all. So wherever Catholicism grew, you get the ancient calendar as the zodiac. Wherever Catholicism did not grow, India, Tibet, Peru, Egypt, you still get the stars in the sky. So Catholicism put the calendar on top of the zodiac, so we wouldn't use the stars in the sky anymore. So when people say, I'm this sign, I'm that sign, they're not those signs at all.
I'm not
because,
Libra.
Well, see, the 12 signs and the idea that you're like everybody born the same month is probably the most general form of mysticism that has ever existed anyways. I'm not a fan of 12 signs. Ancients use 27. Priests use 27. So if you go to India as an example and you talk to a Brahmin priest who spent 16 years studying astrology, he knows nothing of those 12 signs. He only knows about the 27 signs. The belief was in ancient time that the public should get the 12 because they're ignorant, where the priest caste should keep the 27 to themselves. So people like myself have been trying to break open this ancient 27 sign system because the only reason why you're alive is to know who you are.
Right.
See, so if you're reading a sign that you're not, it's probably the least spiritual thing you can do for yourself is to align with something you are not. And that's the beholding of Catholicism right there. So nevertheless,
Jade, question. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I
hop right in
wanted
there.
to know. So, as you what brought you to this? Like, how did Asterian astrology become into your awareness? Because it doesn't sound like it's readily available.
Right.
And actually, if you look it up, there's very little language outside of what you've put out there, quite honestly. So,
well,
how did you?
There is though. Now, here's the thing: if I pop you out of the commercial world into the actual world of sidereal astrology, of Indian astrology, like Jyotish, Vedic astrology, then you get this system everywhere. So I was highly interested. I've done my entire life the two things I've loved: astrology and music. I'm an astrologer and a musician. I do them both. One ties into the other. I was in high school. I already was giving astrology readings, even to like my teachers and stuff like that, as a Western astrologer. I was also a musician. I got in a sign band right after high school and went on tour and started developing some pretty significant health problems, which, this is the very short story, led me to go to India to recover my health. So I left music for a period of time and went to India to get my health together, find out there's a completely different system of astrology in India, and had nothing to do with the stars in the sky. And I'll remember something very specific when I was talking to my first astrologer teacher in India. He said, "When were you born?" I said, "May 8th. And he goes, "Oh, that's Mesha, which means Aries." And I went, "No, that's Taurus," which Taurus was tattooed on my arm. And he looked at me and he said, "Practical, conservative, earthly, no. Bold, brash, brave, Aries, yes." Well, what he didn't know, I was also a running back in high school, and I was trying to be a running back for the ASU Sun Devils when I was young. I still to this day love sports, heavy in athleticism. And he said I would take the path of courage, and I was a warrior. That all made sense to me, and that put me in a struggle almost instantly that I'm an Aries, not a Taurus. Then he said, "There's something deeper." He said, "You were born under a star called Bharani." He goes, "Forget about the 12 signs. You're born under what they call in India a nakshatra called Bharani, which I call Hades, which explained my health problems that I went through, which started explaining the deeper things I was going through." So I put Western astrology aside at a very early age and started paying attention to Vedic astrology. Now, my guru, which I started going to India all the time. My health started getting better from Ayurveda and practices I was doing in India. I got heavy into goddess worship, still a worshiper of the goddess Kali to this day, many, many, many years later, to clear out my fear of death and dying, which I believe was contributing to a lot of the health problems I was actually experiencing. So, but one of my gurus, my second guru, was a silent guru. So when I went there, I had to be silent. So now we're going to run into Asterian astrology. Mm-hmm. So we had to be silent for long periods of time. And so I went to a library, grabbed a book called the Yavana Jataka. The Yavana Jataka is an astrology book that Alexander the Great left in northern India when he conquered northern India. And the priests of India grabbed that book and created Vedic astrology out of that. Okay, let me be clear. India had a system of astrology that existed before the Greeks, but it was not used for giving readings. It was used to observe gods and goddesses like Egypt did. It was not about personality analysis. So the Greeks actually took this incredible science and created the idea of giving readings with it, because the Egyptians used it for the worship of gods and goddesses. So did the Sumerians, where the Greeks mastered the art of, hey, we can use this for people. So India got a hold of the Yavana Jataka and created Vedic astrology out of that book. That's very controversial, what I just said in India. India believes wholeheartedly that they created astrology. So I'm saying that no, they did not.
Wow.
Alexander the Great learned it from Egypt, and Egypt Greeks brought it to India. So that's an incredibly controversial statement.
Egypt is in the forefront.
I know. Such a
Egypt is the
fascinating
center
story.
of everything. Yeah, Egypt is the center of everything.
It always comes back to yes.
So about how long have you been studying?
So just real quick, I took the book, the Yavana Jataka, and translated it from the Vedic text to make it understandable in a Western format, not knowing that had never been done before. So I did that out of boredom. That's just the truth. I didn't do it trying to be a scholar. I was going to be silent for a long period of time. So I said, how about I just translate this book and make it understandable in a Western format, not knowing that it had never been done before. That is the origin of Asterian astrology. And I started stepping back from Vedic astrology because this system was significantly more advanced and some more simplified than even Vedic astrology.
First of all, that's amazing.
It really is.
With 20, it's you consider it to be more simple when there's 27 different, I guess, aspects of it as opposed to the 12.
And much more simple.
Okay, can you break it down a little bit? Why?
Because you're an individual. The idea that you're the same personality as everybody born the same month as you. I think it's funny we get caught into signs like, oh, I feel like I'm this sign. I feel like I'm that sign. But everybody born that same month feels the same way. Astrology is so advanced that the West had to find a way to make it accessible to the masses, and that was through the masses. That was HarperCollins and the Linda Goodman Sun Signs book. They said, how can we create astrology where everybody can read their sign? We don't care if it's right or not. So they're like, we don't care. We just need people reading their sign. Here's the fact. That zodiac in the sky moves 1 degree every 72 years. It's called the precession of the equinox. The Egyptians mastered the precession of the equinox. They mastered it. Western astrology is the only system on this entire planet that does not use the precession of the equinox. The zodiac moves 1 degree every 72 years. So if you're born in one sign, 500 years later, if you're born on that same day, you're not born into the same sign because that zodiac in the sky moves. Western astrology is the only system on this earth that does not use what our ancients worked their tail off to come up with. That little movement of the zodiac in the sky. So where the zodiac is in the West is where it was 2,000 years ago.
Very interesting.
And if we know that it moves every 72 years, that's off.
1 degree every 72 years. Exactly. And the Egyptians mastered the art of creating that. So, I mean, the biggest conspiracy of all is Hipparchus, who is an Egyptian, observed the precession of the equinox. Do you know how hard that is? It means he was understanding that the Earth wobbled due to the relationship to the stars. That is so advanced. He created the concept of the precession of the equinox. His disciple was Ptolemy, who created Western astrology. So why would Ptolemy get rid of Hipparchus the Egyptian's information? Why would he get rid of it and present the world with Western astrology?
So people
because
don't know
he became Catholic in his lifetime, and Catholicism used him to create anti-divination laws, and they knew he had widespread fame as an astrologer, so they knew if they converted him, they would actually own astrology, and they did. Because astrologers and priests were at battle of who had more clout at one time. And priests won that war, but they had to figure out how to deal with all the people getting readings from astrologers. And so all of this was part of the plan.
This is really this is a tale of disempowerment.
Yes, it is.
They didn't want them going to the astrologers to get real answers when you're supposed to be coming to the God that we created.
That's right.
You're going to get that. I like it. Okay.
So that's why they went out to convert the most famous astrologer on the planet to Catholicism. They went for him. They got him. And he was used specifically to create anti-divination laws and to put out the seasonal calendar instead of the zodiac, so people would not align with their signs anymore. This was so advanced that even Nostradamus used Asterian astrology for his predictions, but publicly talked about Western, because if he talked about the observing of the stars while he was alive, he would have died publicly. So the observing of the stars was illegal. Not talking about Western astrology. That was a seasonal calendar. So this is the biggest conspiracy, in my opinion, on the entire planet because of one reason. We're only here to realize who we are. Astrology is that science that's supposed to align you with who you are. So it becomes one of the biggest conspiracies on this planet in the world of mysticism that people aren't aligning with the right signs anymore. And I could send you information on top of information from other astrologers all around the world, from Egyptian astrologers to astrologers in Peru, all saying the same thing I am. It's there, and it's loud, but commercialism is owned by book companies regarding astrology. It makes $56 million a year. They don't want someone like me saying it's all wrong because they lose all that money. That goes on to this day.
Right. So Jade, okay, so you are like a plethora of information with all of this. So I'm sure people are interested in knowing, how long have you been studying Asterian astrology?
Well, I did also put my own flair and my own touches in it. I wanted going back to the ancient gods. That was highly important to me, that you related to not just your sign, but the actual god that ruled over it, as you resembled some part of that. So we're going to be saying now, I have been an Asterian astrologer for 23 years now.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
So there are no other Asterian astrologers.
Well, I'm making some. I am.
Okay, I was going to say,
you might find this interesting.
They would have to be trained by you.
Yes, I'm training females only because there was a time on this planet. First of all, I think we need to be listening to females more. I'm creating a priestess class of Asterian astrologers, all female, and I want them to also be presenting people with information in the future.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a few. I mean, it's not easy to learn. People when they think, oh, I can read Linda Goodman's sun signs and look at me, I'm an astrologer now. That is not the way it is. Ancients had to spend 16 years minimum learning astrology before they could give a reading. 16 years, because astrology is an advanced science. It's not just reading your sun sign and, oh, you're a Virgo and I'm a Leo, look at us. It is nothing like that. It's a very advanced science.
So, okay. Oftentimes, and when we're talking about astrology, we'll talk about different transits. So, and I feel like, what's the energy of what's happening now in our time and our space now? And before we started this, I asked him how his 2023 was going. Wait, notice I didn't say, how was your new year? Because I know the new year that doesn't make any sense for it to start at January 1. So I wanted to know, currently, kind of the energy that we are in. What is, according to Asterian Astrology, what are we going through right now?
Well, I don't know if we've discussed this or not, but I'm the only person that publicly predicted the pandemic beforehand.
I was going to bring it up.
Person.
I was about to be like,
okay.
I was like,
so
about your future predictions too.
And I said the pandemic would end in 2023, that we'd stop talking about it, that it would eventually move into the background because Saturn went to Aquarius a couple weeks ago. When the entire time Saturn was in Capricorn, we were in the pandemic the entire time because Saturn and Pluto went into Capricorn together. But what is more interesting, talk about astrology being made simple. The eclipses in late 2019 were under the Egyptian god Set, the god of plagues, and that's how I made the prediction. I said we're either going to have a pandemic or a volcanic eruption because the eclipses in late December were under and I make universal predictions through eclipses. The Egyptian god Set, in Greek called Typhon, was going to take the planet over for several years. Well, actually a few years. And under that time, we would be under the plague, so to speak, because he was the god of plagues even in Egypt. So we are leaving that now. We're leaving that era this year. And so I said that pandemic will move into the coronavirus is going to be around for 20 years. That's what I have the entire time Pluto's in Capricorn. But at a pandemic level, it's going to be in the background. There are some indications when the North and South node go into Virgo and Pisces that we could have other types of issues come up. That's not impossible. But this particular series of viruses is closing out as far as a pandemic is concerned. I think it even should have been a while ago. I don't think there's enough people passing on through it anymore for us to even call it a pandemic. Meanwhile, all these predictions, even the riots that started in June of 2020, I predicted beforehand, because an eclipse was under the god Prometheus, the god of humanity. So eclipses would stir up humanity. They started on the day. on the eclipse on that particular day, it started. And so it's based upon the gods are ruling over this planet. Whatever beings or however people want to perceive these is entirely up to them. But these deities, when you're using Asterian astrology, you're actually watching the gods in action play with humanity at the same time. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
I never even thought of it from that perspective.
So we just finished an eclipse season.
Yes, we did.
So what is that going to tell us about what's coming? When does the effect of the eclipse take place?
That's an awesome question, because I use them to make predictions. Eclipses, people think an eclipse is about the day. It's not. The work is laid down on that day and lasts to the next series of eclipses. So eclipses will tell you how the world is going to be run up until the next series of eclipses take place. There was a reason why that the Egyptians believed that Set was kind of the ruler of the earth in some way, shape, or form, because his eclipses play a huge role in the way we experience the cosmos. So the last series of eclipses were in real astrology, were not in Scorpio, they were in Libra, and that's why a ton of people ended their relationships in the last several months. Tons of people. Matter of fact, when I was on tour as a musician during the last series of eclipses, and on the day of the eclipse, I had to pull over and look at my emails, and when I opened up, I had hundreds of emails of couples that ended their relationship in the last few days because of that eclipse. So those last series of eclipses were supposed to set in motion to end weaker relationships, and that was exactly what they ended up doing. They were really, really intense. They weren't quite as universal as the eclipses were before, dealing with humanity-based things, but these became very personal. So the one on October 24th and November 8th were both inside of Libra, and they were meant to kind of finalize weaker relationships. That's still going on now.
So what would you say the energy is now?
Well, we just had Saturn go into Aquarius, and we're just getting ready for Jupiter going to Aries. So this year is big. A heavyweight alignment happens once every 2 or 3 years. It's rare to have a year where there are two heavyweight alignments in 1 year. We just had Saturn go into Aquarius. That's a heavyweight. So we're going to push that pandemic into the background. It's going to be there. It's just not going to be anything like it was before. And that starts as I made comments about nuclear energy being used, very Aquarian-based things coming up. I mentioned a light recession taking place. I said not a heavy one, but a lighter one would start to take place. But when Jupiter goes to Aries, that's going to be an interesting transition on this planet, because there are eclipses. The eclipses in May I'm going to be paying attention to, because omens are dropped by eclipses of what's coming. So how I make very specific predictions is during eclipses to watch omens that are dropped on the planet. So the next series of eclipses are in May. Jupiter will just went into Aries, and that will then, after that alignment, I'll start making predictions of whether I think this war is going to get significantly worse or not.
So when you say
Aries is war,
Aries, are you saying Aries according to Asterian astrology, or Aries according to
Western? I don't use anything Western. Okay. All Western astrology is wrong. There are transits; they do exist. Like a Saturn return is a Saturn return. You're going to have a Saturn return when it says you're going to have a Saturn return. That's why people can go to a Western astrologer and go, "But that was right. They did say that one thing, and it was a hard time for a while, but it's in the wrong sign." So to give really accurate, detailed predictions like Asterian does, you have to have the right signs, and I even believe the 12 are not enough. You need the 27 to give accurate predictions.
So, if she's a Libra in Western astrology, what is that in Asterian astrology?
When's your birthday again?
October 12th. I know I'm a Vulcan.
You're a Vulcan, but you're on the Virgo side of that.
Yeah.
Which makes you more connected to the healing aspect of it all.
Yes. Wait a minute. Okay, so this is interesting. So I'm a Cancer. My birthday is June 29th. I know I'm under Set.
You're born under Set. You're born under Typhon. That means things get a little crazy over there.
Which is probably why you've been feeling a lot of stuff too.
Right, because I've been going a little cuckoo lately.
Typhon is a really powerful star. I actually really love the star Typhon, but it's a very intense star. It does deal with bringing tornadoes and bringing the hurricane. It brings the storm, so to speak. It's there to bring change. If something is flatlining and kind of becoming stagnant, it will turn into chaos to create an upward energy, so it breaks open into something new. So I joke that Typhon has a chaos component to it, even if you're born under it, but it's really high. It senses when something becomes stagnant and it turns into chaos to push everything up, so things will start growing. So the moments where you yourself won't even understand why you're acting a certain way, but it's to bring change to the environment, to make everyone go through a shift or a change. So set people are used, or Typhon people are used to keep people moving up energetically through stormy type of energies. Yeah. So this is the specific stuff that has nothing to do with Gemini or Cancer. I could care less whether someone's a Cancer or Gemini. It means like nothing to me. Set means everything. If there are 3 types of Geminis, 3 types of Virgos, 3 types of Libras, they're all so different from one another. I don't believe we should all call them the same signs. Like there's other types of Geminis that are nothing like Typhon. That what I just said to you is very specific to Typhon. There are other types of Geminis that is not specific to it all.
So I'm a Typhon Gemini.
You're a Typhon Gemini, which goes from love to anger in a split second.
First of all, Jade, you got me.
She said, "Stay out of her business."
Wait. Okay, I mean, I'm balanced. That's really interesting.
But your chakras aligned.
Is there any place right now, if someone wanted to find out where, like, what their Asterian astrology sign is?
Yes.
You got the sun shining on you.
Yeah, there we go. My book, 27 Signs, 27 Stars, is the best bet.
Amazon, right?
Yeah, you can get my books pretty much anywhere.
Okay.
There's the book Asterian Astrology, The Lost System of Alexander the Great. And then there's 27 Stars. The book Asterian Astrology is kind of advanced. It's for astrologers to learn how the zodiac is wrong. 27 Stars is for anyone to open up their sign and read it, to make it simple.
Do you, I'd imagine that you might not have, you might have a few people who are disappointed with you spreading this methodology, because it kind of goes against things that they are either profiting from or, speak largely about. Have you been able to find a middle ground with Western astrology?
I'll make one of the more interesting statements. The people that run this planet all use Asterian astrology, and that's simple.
Of course.
And you'd be surprised. I couldn't even go into volume of the people I work with, and they all use this system. There's a big difference between commercialism and real wisdom. They are not the same thing. And I can bet and guarantee anyone that the truth doesn't come from commercialism at all. And so there's a large amount of people that are looking for something deeper than what is commercial. And I love the fact that Asterian astrology isn't the main system, because you have to earn wisdom. It's not just given to you. You have to go out there and seek it out. And I don't mind being and owning that system that people have to go find and seek out because they want something deeper. Mm-hmm. And there's enough. I cannot tell you how many clients I work with in a year. It takes months to get to see me for a reason.
It takes a long time.
Yeah, I waited.
I like being right, and I like being that person that people have to wait for. And I will tell you, Vedic astrologers are the same. Like, I find it fascinating that you can go get into most Western astrologers within a week, but you get us very obscure scientists out there using these obscure systems, and it takes a long, long time to get in to see us. And I'm not the only one like that. There's other Vedic astrologers it takes months to get in there and see them.
What is your Asterian astrology sign?
I'm a Hades, the god of the underworld. Yeah. Osiris in Egypt. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so that explained to me why I for a period of time I had to leave music and focus on death and dying, because I was given a really heavy diagnosis when I was young, which led me to go to India when I was really young, and that's very Hades-like, where you have to. It's like a Buddha star. Buddha became Buddha by meditating on death and dying. So I didn't think I was going to live long when I was younger. That's why I left music and went to India and started meditating. And then when I went there, I'm like, oh, you're born on the star Hades, so this is just the way your life is. Certain situations are going to take place, so you meditate on death and dying, and I have. And I have 2 books out about the Mother Goddess, and both of her, both the forms I worship are the goddesses that deal with death and dying.
Interesting. So, I find it so interesting that when you go a little bit deeper into pretty much anything that I have been exposed to spiritually, it all arrows point to Egypt.
Yeah.
And I find that really fascinating. So, that means if you're Osiris and I'm Set, that means we got beef, right?
Well, that's one of the funniest things I've heard in a long time. I make the joke that almost every long-term relationship I've been in has been with Typhon.
Of course.
Yeah, and those particular issues of Set and Osiris have come up very specifically. So there is something in that. Like I would go through like an annihilation from a Typhon person and then rebuild myself in a way that was totally new. And that's kind of what Typhon people are there to do that. It's a very intense star, but I constantly deal with Typhon in personal relationships. And this is, again, not Western astrology. This is a very obscure thing. So to keep running into Typhon has always been one of these humors. Like if I would start dating someone as an example and I haven't had their chart yet, I'm like, here we go. We're going to find Typhon, rising, moon, or sun. And sure enough, it's going on to this day. Yeah.
So I want to talk about you said a little bit more about the predictive aspect of this, because honestly, I do remember reading that, and this was actually after I'd gotten a reading for you. I'm like, wait, I didn't know he predicted COVID. So is this something that you do and share with the public normally, or are you do you kind of keep some of the things to yourself? Because I want to know what's coming next. What's going on these next couple of years?
There's an art form in making public predictions where, like, as of right now, I'm at 100% in making public predictions because I'm very cautious to make them. I make them on Instagram. Instagram is where I have several magazines that wait for me to make predictions. I have a few that are waiting for me right now to talk about 2023 a little bit more than I have. But I'm looking for a few signs that are dropped from Set. He starts dropping signs of what problems he's going to start doing and where he's heading.
Wait, that's his. Chrissy just look at me like, well.
But you want to know what? Without Set, nothing would grow. He doesn't want anything staying the same. He creates chaos, so the growth will take place. So in your case, just so you can remember this, that chaos component I talked about will come up if something is flatlining. If it's either becoming stagnant or if it poses a threat, one or the other, then the chaos component will come up. But so Set's job, and this reason why Egyptians weren't wrong to worship him as God for a long, long time. Because if you look at the nature of this planet, you probably see that Set form very strong in just observing. The world is not some easy, still place. It's a place of chaos. And we have to learn to adjust that chaos and rise. But so I'm waiting for Set to drop a few more omens of what we have coming, and I'll start making predictions about this year. I did say COVID would start to go deep into the background. There would be a light recession that became a little bit deeper in the late spring, early summer. And politically, America has an Aquarius moon under a star called Aegean. Saturn is now in Aquarius. So I'm expecting that divide to continue to grow. Again, America in real astrology is a Gemini, not a Cancer. Hence, the red and blue are the two personalities of this country. And learning to endure the other one is a very important factor of being in this country. So when there's the people, we're American over here, and the people, we're American over here, these are two different sides of America. One holds on to old school values, the other one wants to evolve and kind of adopt into new, and I believe they should meet in the middle somewhere, and I think eventually they will, but not soon.
Right.
Not soon.
Can I ask a quick question? Can you share a little bit about the Vulcan, like being born under the Vulcan star?
Vulcan is a lot about love, and it's a lot about learning self-love and how self-love generates human love. Now, there are signs where people don't have self-love and they're married and they're in relationships. Vulcan is different. Vulcan was married to Aphrodite. Meanwhile, she loved Mars. So Vulcan had to endure his wife Venus being obsessed with the god Mars. And so he had to learn to love himself no matter what the circumstances were. And through loving himself, he earned her back. So Vulcan is a healer. He is about the power of self-love and what we can generate through self-love.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness. What were you going to ask?
I'm so glad that you asked that, because I was going to ask, do we, is there still like a sun, moon, rising aspect in Asterian astrology?
All of them. See, those things we're taking from ancient systems.
Okay.
Yeah, the sun, moon, and rising are all valid. As a matter of fact, I use them equally in someone's personality. The Egyptians were the only ancient culture that used your sun sign. All others use the moon. This is why when I was getting in the debate with a Western astrologer and about Greek astrology, and I said, well, the proof is in their coins. You can get all caught up in your sun sign, but the Greeks used their moon sign. Yep. And how to validate and back that up? Well, it was coins. Ancient coins would have their king on one side and his moon sign on the other, and it was sidereal, Asterian, or Vedic, not Western. So facts are facts, and I've been able to prove through facts that ancient Greeks used sidereal, which is Asterian astrology. But talk about a scientific. Here's what the ancients said, which is mind-blowing, about why we should use our moon as equal as the sun. But then I'm also going to backtrack at why the Egyptians use the sun and why I agree with that too. The moon controls the water and the tides on this planet. Human beings are 75% water. We are the water element. We're not a fire element. We're part earth, but we are the water element. We disintegrate into water. And so the moon has a stronger effect on who we become than the sun. So why did the Egyptians say, no, use your sun sign? Here's another way of looking at it. The moon in your chart is your subconscious mind. The sun is your conscious mind. And India says, well, the subconscious mind is stronger than your conscious mind. Let's just say someone smokes cigarettes as an example. Your mind can say, I want to stop all you want. But if your subconscious mind says, we're going to keep smoking, you're going to keep smoking. That's the power of the subconscious mind over the conscious mind. But the Egyptians believed in emphasizing the conscious mind because that was your godly form. The deity that ruled over your sun sign was who you were going to evolve to become when you became purely conscious, free from the illusion of the subconscious mind.
So this is so interesting to me because the way that it was that I've learned is exactly what he said. But now I'm very curious to learn what my moon and rising in is Asterian, because I'm all about the moon anyway. But, so now I'm like, man, this is fascinating, and self-mastery and learning who we are. That's what we're here for. I couldn't agree with you more. So now I want to go deeper.
And it's funny. She's the moon. I'm the sun. Like, I love the sun. She loves the moon.
So this is really interesting. So, oh my goodness, there's so much to that we could go on forever and ever, and we're being conscious of your time. So, just a couple more questions, and then also before we let you go, we'd like to get ready. We'd like to deliver a message to the collective.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you? I just want to get a little bit more into your journey, because also, we talk a lot. We talk to a lot of people who are in different parts of their journey. Everyone's journey is different. And it sounds to me the way that you were kind of introduced or pushed into this is because of some health issues. So I'm curious, looking back, because now you're on the other side of this, do you think that kind of your body, your subconsciously, you created this disease in order to get you on your path?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I can look back at being diagnosed with a heart problem and Epstein-Barr at the same time, and without either one of them, I would have never, ever matured into the person I was. I didn't like being forced that fast. I mean, it was like I mean, I was in a band that was on tour with a really big band right out of high school, and I had to let that go. I still do that to this day, and that's a big part of my life still to this day. But at that time in my life, to let that go and have to go to India to get my health together was really, really painful. And out of all the more painful things I've been in my life, that one sticks up there still as one of the single most painful things I went through, is having to let go of a life that was kind of going my direction, to go in an opposite direction. But when I came back around to this becoming my career and music, the gratitude I had towards music, my ability to go into the creative realm was much higher. So all of this worked out to me in my favor, and I would do it all again to go back to where I'm at now.
That is so cool.
Thank you so much for saying that so eloquently, first of all, because we often talk about, that we create our life, and, people get caught up in, I didn't create this bad part.
Why would I make myself? Why would I suffer? Why would I?
Because we realize that that's the transformation. You don't transform if look, I was about to say, if everything is stagnant, don't accept me. There's no transformation when everything is well. There has to be some type of confusion and chaos for you to figure out that you can help cure and feel that chaos yourself. I don't know that. So I'm so glad you said it like that.
We're in a world where there's a lot of talk of manifesting, but your karma from previous lives has to play out whether you want it or not. You can't manifest your past life karma away. So what you can control and what you cannot control, there's a fine line there between what is in the realm of the gods and what's in the realm of human beings. And so there are patterns you're going to have to deal with whether you like it or not. They cannot be manifested away. You have to actually endure and accept the karma you've created. Buddhist philosophy is take responsibility for everything that's ever happened to you right now and free yourself from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you said something I would like to emphasize. You didn't say one God. You said multiple. You said gods.
Absolutely.
Well, there is one, and that one has multiple personalities, just like we do as human beings, just as God exists in human beings. But we all have our individual. So when you get into the gods, you're getting into the higher realms of God's personality. Which is male and female, and some of them are light, some of them are dark. So dogmatic religion cannot actually own any type of ownership over spirituality, in my opinion, because God clearly is not a dogmatic force. It's a collaboration of good, bad, light, and dark, and all of it. This is why I like ancient viewpoints of consciousness, and that's why I believe Kali is the highest representation of consciousness on this earth. All you have to do is open your eyes and look and see what's going on out there to know that chaos seems to be a part of this existence. 4,000 years of studying a human history, there's only been 27 years of peace out of 4,000. Earth is school. It is not your home. You are here to grow, and we are here to find ourselves. There are higher realms that we do end up home with, and they're infinite bliss. But this realm, Earth, has always been like it is right now. It's never not been like this.
So is there anything in Asterian astrology that backs that up?
It backs up
that Earth is a school.
Oh, well, all astrology does. People can want happiness, but Saturn exists. Mars exists. Pluto exists. The North Node exists. There are more negative planets than positive by significantly more. It means we have to learn how to deal with suffering in our existence. And we have to learn how to come to terms with it, because astrology shows us that life is going to be tough and you better be strong for it.
Wow. I love it. Okay, before we go into the message, we want to let people know how to get in touch with you. Mm-hmm. Look, I'm like, you guys just plan ahead, okay? You can follow him at Jade, SOLOGIST. Luna. How do you pronounce that?
Jade
Jade
Sol
Sol
Luna.
Luna. That means Jade Sun Moon in Latin.
Gotcha.
And that's your real name, right?
Jade Luna is, yes, the soul was an addition from my teacher.
Wait, Jade Luna, you were born with the name
Yeah,
Jade?
I had
Are you
hippie
kidding me right
parents.
now?
I have a brother named Sky and so forth. So, yeah.
Okay, my daughter's name is Jade too, by the way.
Oh wow! I love that name, male and female alike.
I know, I love the name. So that is Jade Sol Luna. It says JadeSolLuna. You guys, please follow him. And is that where they book appointment?
Instagram is where I like to be followed. That's Instagram. Jade Soluna. Instagram is where I make my public predictions. And I have a website, Asterian, Asterian, AsterianAstrology.com for all the different readings that I give.
Nice, thank you.
So you guys, please follow. I would say grab his book to learn a little bit more.
And book an appointment.
And book an appointment. Do you have on some Jade Mala beans right now?
Say that again?
Do you have on Jade Mala beans? Beads?
Yes. I'm wearing jade beads right now.
I have my jade ring on. I remember you told me I need more jade.
That's right. That's for Vulcan. That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So,
No, I was going to ask him about his predictions.
I was going to ask about the crystal.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So what is a crystal that you're currently working with now and why?
It actually is jade. And that is due to where my planets are aligned right now. Jade strengthens Virgo. I have a Virgo rising.
Mm-hmm.
This particular year, I have Saturn moving into my house of health. So it is important for me to emphasize jade in this year for myself.
Nice.
Jade is, I work with stones through health the most, through health of the body. Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Jade, thank you so much. Would you mind blessing our audience with a message for the collective?
Well, we are now entering Saturn in Aquarius, which is about showing the diversity of humanity. And the message in Saturn in Aquarius is appreciating diversity. We are all different. My guru in India would say, you want to know how many spiritual paths there are? As many faces as you actually see. We have to learn to honor and love and respect every human being, even the people that are young souls. Very interesting thing to note. My guru said it's hard for advanced souls to appreciate the youthful souls on this planet, but it's a part of our adulthood to appreciate the young on this planet. That applies to the cycle that we are in right now. Just because people might have a different opinion or different belief doesn't mean that we have to shut down in our own realms and overemphasize our own opinions. We have to learn to start appreciating diversity. And Saturn and Aquarius is about learning to appreciate diversity, which means things unlike what I'm saying are going to come up because we have to clear that shit out before we can fully love and embrace all of us, not just the parts that we're comfortable with. So I believe Saturn and Aquarius is going to bring some humanitarian issues up that are really tough to look at. And as we scoop that dirt out, underneath that is going to be the love and the learning to appreciate the oneness that we are all in and appreciate the journey that we are all on. So the message collectively is start appreciating human diversity. Start appreciating people with different opinions as your own and start learning to love each other as individuals because this is a phase of learning to appreciate diversity.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Right on time.
I love that. And it's needed. It really is. And it's needed.
Right on time.
And I feel like it's coming. I feel like we're moving into that direction. Like things are shaking up right now. A lot of things that have been hidden are now starting to come to the surface and come to light. And so a lot of things are being revealed. And so truth is starting to be seen. And I feel like we're moving into that space where all of that is going to happen. I hope I'm here to see it.
And the next age we go into is starting in 2070. It's the age of Chimera in my system. It's the first goddess-based age in 4,000 years. So we have to clean out our misunderstandings, our lack of perspective of women. And it means there's going to be some opposite stuff that comes up in that too. Meanwhile, I know it's scooping that out so we can actually enter an age that has been stamped by feminine power for the first time in 4,000 years. So we're getting ready for that too.
Wow.
2070, I might be out of here by then.
I know. I'm like,
Yeah,
27.
no, we'll see. We'll be there our next life.
Next lifetime, we'll see if I.
We'll see it, but we'll see the transition. We're going to see the
Come
transition.
back to school.
That's right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thank you. Like, this has been
so informed. We could really take up all your time.
I mean, I feel like I'm in class. I'm just like, I'm listening so intently. And I mean, I still listen to my reading occasionally to just like get that reminder. But it's.
Oh, I still listen to mine too because you gave me
gems.
Gems. And I mean, he said exactly moving out of that 7 years phase that I was going into, and he said the next, and I'm like, okay. It's happening like you said it was. So I can't even.
Everything you said happened. Change of career, of like a promotion, shift in like everything.
Well, that means you're aligned as well. So that means that energy that's out there working yin and yang, we have to learn to adjust to it and ride with it. And when you do, things go your way in an astrological sense. Yeah.
I really do appreciate you taking the time to speak with us and to share all of your knowledge and all of your wisdom with our listeners and to share a piece of yourself and your journey, because that's one of the reasons why we created this podcast, is to share our journey, what's helped us. I mean, we've been going through healing. We've been going through so many different changes, and this is so helpful. This is so instrumental in our growth. And so I really appreciate you taking the time out to speak with us. And again, follow him on Instagram, go on his website, book a reading with him. The reading is it's short. Like, it's surprisingly short, but within that amount of time,
you're getting a lot.
You get so much information, and it's recorded so that you can go back and you can continue to listen to it. Even now, and I think it's almost been about a year now, I still listen to that recording. And it still helps to shed some light on things that I've been going through. So again, I just want to thank you for your time, because I know you're a busy person. You even have Hollywood knocking on your door.
Thank you so much for inviting me on, and I'll come back anytime you guys ask.
Thank you.
But this, you know what? We're going to talk next. We need to talk next eclipse season.
Yes. Next eclipse. So
I love
remind
that.
me. Yep. Next eclipse season.
Absolutely.
What kind of gems we're dropping?
Right.
So thank you guys so much. This is great. You guys know where to follow us at Two Queens Crystal Things on IG. We thank you guys so much for listening, for tuning in. Don't forget to like and share. Tell your friends about this. You guys, we're just here because we really want everyone to figure out a way, whatever methodology, whatever modality, whatever way it is that you get to know yourself, because that's what we're here for.
Yep.
So, all right, guys.
Thank you for listening. Light,
peace,
love, and soul.
Night, guys.